Well, lacing, obviously, and frankly, that's enough. I mean, lacing is just... But anywhere you need a hole in some fabric or leather and you want it reinforcing or decorating, eyelet's your man. Corners of fabric that want tying to guy lines, key ring holes and decorative scrappy little ornamental doodads, decorative patterns of holes that serve no purpose at all, holes for drawstrings, holes with tassels coming out of them. The list is long, possibly infinite. Let's say a hole in a flat material which is reinforced in some way. So very often you'll get metal reinforcement, but plastic is a thing for huge curtain rail eyelets. And also stitched eyelets are amazing if time consuming to make. Mostly they're there so you can put something through them, but not always. Sometimes they're just a fun design element. Well, start by making a hole. You can do this with scissors or a punch or by separating the fibers with an awl, which makes a hole with no cut ends to potentially fray, so it's very durable, but size is limited with this technique, obviously. Then reinforce it in some way. If you're in a hurry, metal eyelets or grommets are a good bet. Most craft shops sell them and the internet is fairly crawling with options. The most common ones come in two sorts, one piece and two piece, and they're actually pretty similar. One piece ones rely on the fabric being pretty meaty and not really needing all that much reinforcement or being subject to much strain. They look like this, often with little nicks in the edge to help it split evenly as it rolls down as it's stamped. When you stamp it, the top of the die spreads and rolls the top edge over and squishes it down onto the fabric to secure the eyelet. But it doesn't give a lot of coverage on the back, so it can pull out easily under any strain. So these ones are kind of more decorative than useful. Two-piece ones have the bit with the upstand, or shank, and a flat washer. They work pretty much the same, except that you add the washer to the back before you set it. So the rolled over bit grabs the washer and squeezes the fabric between the two in a sort of forceful sandwich. So these ones are much harder to pull out, although a lot of durability is down to how butch the fabric was in the first place. So if you're wanting to put eyelets in some flimsy fabric, maybe reinforce it with some couture or some denim first. Metal eyelets need a setting tool, and neither eyelets nor setting tools are interchangeable or standardized in any way. So hopefully you got a setting tool with the eyelets that you bought. There are little hand tools that come with packs of eyelets and require you to bring your own hammer. There are squeezy pliers tools with interchangeable dies for different sizes of eyelet. There are small tabletop eyelet press machines, and there are freestanding foot stumpy eyelet press machines. All of them basically do the same thing, which is hold the bit with the shank steady while you add the fabric and washer, and position the die to apply force either by hammer, pliers, or press until the shank is curled over and held everything securely. Some tools vary as to which side is the sticky uppy bit, so it's not always obvious which way up it goes. Follow the instructions if you've got them. If you haven't got them, try every which way up until something works consistently, and then write your own instructions for when you forget. I've had pretty good results from the cheap little hammer tools that you get with your eyelets, but it's really time consuming. I've almost never had good results from the pliers type, but they are much faster and some people get on really well with them. And I haven't tried a tabletop press because when I worked at a theater, we had a foot stompy press and I just fell in love. 2 hands free for holding the work steady while you set the eyelets. So fast, so easy, such consistently good results. Sadly, they're also crazy expensive, but I live in the north of England where these things occasionally come up for cheap on eBay, and where some guy in a shed in an industrial estate in Salford will just cut me a die to match my grommets. So I got lucky, and or had the good sense to live near Manchester. Anyway, a freestanding foot stomping machine is approximately 1 million times faster and more efficient and more consistently good results than any other method, so if you do this a lot, you might want to invest. Some sewing machines have an eyelet stitching setting similar to the automatic buttonhole. I think the eyelets produced are again more decorative than useful, but for light duty work and if your machine offers it, why not? Hand-stitched eyelets are just fabulous and beautiful. They look amazing, but you'd better like hand sewing and have a Netflix watch list as long as your arm. Better and more detailed guides are available, go forth and search, but here are the basics. For small eyelets like period authentic corsetry, consider using an awl rather than cutting a hole. For larger eyelets, i.e. sail making, go ahead and cut a big circle. Optionally, and if appropriate, lay a metal ring over the hole for extra super durability. Stitch with thick, strong thread around and around and around in a donut till you get back to the beginning, and then maybe around again. You can just whip stitch around and around, or use buttonhole stitch, or blanket stitch, which are just 2 different ways of ducking under a bit of your loop every time and making many small knots. You can be as precise and perfect and methodical as you like, or you can just hack out some rough as reinforced holes. Sailors, bless them, do some amazing things with stitched eyelets on canvas sails. I mean, they're worth a mention. There are the kind for curtains where the whole curtain pole goes through the eyelets, and the ones for the corners of those banners that people put up in public to embarrass members of their family. They tend to be two-part, snap together or twist together. They tend not to need a tool except maybe a hammer. The curtain ones come with a length of reinforcing tape that you sew into your curtains, and that already has the circles cut at the right spacing. I don't really use them, but they have their advantages, and I'm sure somebody out there has made some really nice stuff. Maybe you're about to make some really nice stuff with them. Send me pictures. If you really don't have time to set your own eyelets, eyelet tape is a thing, but it varies a lot in quality, so buyer beware and all that. There are so many ways to make eyelets and so many beautiful and practical uses for them. Surely you are champing at the bit to go and make something. I mean, I know I am.